Dear children, this is Mentors English Express and I am Sudha Oberoi. I am going to explain the children of class 12th poem number 3, Keeping Quiet, from their English book Flamingo. This poem is composed by Peblo Neruda. Let me tell you something about the poet first. Peblo Neruda, who was born in 1904, was the pen name of the famous Chilean poet and diplomat. His real name was Neftali Ricardo Reyes Basalto. He became a renowned poet at the age of 13 and wrote in variety of styles. Neruda's body of poetry is so rich that it defies classification. Keeping Quiet was originally written in Spanish. It gives a soul-stirring message and emphasizes on the necessity of profound introspection to improve quality of life on this earth. Here's the explanation of the poem. Now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. 12 signs of hours on the clock. Still means quiet or motionless. The poet discusses the need of rational thinking for maintaining peace and silence. He lays stress upon being quiet and harmless to human beings, animals, and environment to live in harmony with them. Man has become irrational thinker and highly selfish. All this has created a ruckus on this wonderful planet and quality of life has degraded. He suggests that in order to maintain peace and harmony, he will have to put a check on his activities. So the poet says, time has come for humans to take a short pause from the activities, and this he can do by counting up to 12. He must not indulge in any sort of activity during those moments. Perhaps 12 refers to 12 hours on a clock or 12 months in a year. So the poet says, whenever a thought or an idea comes in their minds, they must take a short pause to rethink over it before converting it into action. This short pause is going to give them some peaceful moments to rationalize their thoughts and improve quality of life on earth. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Face, surface. Here it points to people living on this earth. Not speak in any language is an appeal from the poet to the people of this world. So the poet makes a universal appeal to all people in the world, irrespective of their caste, creed, religion, and nationality, that if they want to improve the quality of life, they must stop all sorts of activities and keep still. He wants to tell them that greed for comforts has made them utterly selfish and they have been taking unwise decisions and committing acts without thinking judicially, which have resulted in chaos and harmed the nature, disturbing its tranquility. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. So the poet requests them to take a short pause and not to move their arms so much. Here, by not moving arms, he means not to indulge in any sort of physical activity. So in this stanza, the poet requests humans not to indulge in any sort of activity for a short period of time. It would be an exotic moment without rush, without engines. Exotic means wonderful or unusual or enticing. Rush means hurry. engines are machines or devices. The poet says that the moment of pause would be very attractive or wonderful because there would be no hurry at all, and also there would be no sounds of engines. So tranquility will prevail. This peace and quietness would make our thoughts rational. We would all be together in a sudden strangeness. Strangeness means surprising. He further says that this moment of quietness would give us a strange sort of feeling because the whole world taking a pause at the same time would be quite unusual and beyond our imagination. But if we try, we can make it happen. This sudden, complete silence would inspire us to think over our decisions and their consequences and motivate all of us to indulge in the acts which are beneficial for mankind and necessary to preserve the nature. In this stanza, the poet says that the moment of pause would be strange but fruitful and would give us an opportunity to rationalize our deeds. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales. Cold sea is sea near the poles. Harm is hurt. Here, the poet gives us two examples from our daily hectic routine. First, he talks about fishermen, who are symbolic of man's indiscriminate exploitation of nature for his own interest. He says, if the fishermen take a pause, they will not harm the whales which are on the verge of extinction, and this exotic moment can save lives of many whales. And the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. Gathering means collecting. Hurt means injure or harm. The other example is of men who gather salt as their routine. If they take a pause, they will get time to look at their hurt hands. They will realize how much they have lost to achieve material gains. This will give them time to take care of them. So the poet says that this wonderful moment of pause would save the nature from our brutal hands as well as make man love this human body which is temple of God. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victory with no survivors. Green wars means wars against the environment. Wars with gas means use of poisonous gases in wars or emissions from vehicles. Victory means triumph or to win. Survivor means those who are left alive. Here the poet gives a piece of advice to warmongers. He says that people who indulge in war against the environment, that is, destroying the forests, mining, etc., who use poisonous gases in wars or use firearms are selfish people. They are causing harm to the environment and humans. He warns and instructs them to stop the business of killing because if humans are wiped out from this earth, there would be no survivors left to enjoy their victory with. So their victory would serve no purpose as there would be no survivors to appreciate their courage. Would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade doing nothing. A piece of advice for such destructive people is to put on clean clothes and join hands with their peace-loving brothers. Here, clean clothes means to cleanse their minds of all evil thoughts and join the group of positive, calm, and peace-loving people to create harmony on this earth. So in these lines, the poet advises evil-minded people to become peace-loving. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Confused means misunderstood. Inactivity means not indulged in any activity or doing nothing. The poet says that his interpretation of pause must not be misunderstood with total inactivity. By total inactivity, he means both physical and mental activities because total inactivity results in death. He doesn't want him to become inactive, so he must stop only physical activity and his mental activity should go on. Then only his thoughts would become rationalized and he would realize what is beneficial and what is harmful for humans and nature. Life is what it is about. I want no truck with death. No truck means no association. He further says that life is the name of progress. So he doesn't want people to become lazy or inactive, both physically and mentally, as it would cause their death. Positive thoughts would only come when he gets some leisure to think, and these rationalized thoughts would bring out positive change necessary for peaceful living. If I were not so single minded about keeping our lives moving and once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence. Single minded means focused on one thing. He says, if humans had not been focused or goal oriented, they would have not indulged in any sort of activity. They would still be in primitive stage or living in stone age. It is their ambitious nature that has inspired them to invent and innovate to present day comforts and technology. Their desire for change has made them realize their potential and inspired them to contribute according to their capabilities to take the world forward. Perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. Interrupt means interfere. Threatening means causing a threat or a challenge. The poet says that for once, doing nothing for a short span can be good for us, as it is going to make us think wisely and ultimately improve the quality of life. He says whenever there is a risk of death due to irrational deeds, a long silence would prove beneficial for us. This silence would help us overcome sadness of or guilt of doing wrong deeds and also make us wiser and inspire us to indulge in constructive work and do good deeds to lead a life of quality which would be a divine bliss for us. Perhaps the earth can teach us as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. Dead means lifeless. Alive means living. The poet advises man to learn glory of stillness from nature. Life on earth goes on as usual without apparent stillness. He can learn lesson of preserving and resurrecting life from earth. He gives an example of dormant seeds. The seeds lie dormant in Mother Earth's womb and then gradually start sprouting and blossoming into flowers and fruits, making this dull earth look green and serene. So the poet wants to convey the message that life is an eternal process. As new life blooms from the dead remains, simultaneously After a short pause, rational thoughts will emerge and constructive and fruitful progress will take place in this world. Now I will count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go. Quiet means silent. Finally, the poet urges everybody to count till 12. He says that he would go and wants people to think over the message given by him and rationalize their actions in the direction of peace. Let us discuss literary devices. First, the rhyme scheme. There is no rhyme scheme in this poem. The poem is written in a free verse. Now, literary devices. The poet has beautifully used literary devices in the poem. The first is assonance. Assonance is use of vowel sound. See paragraph 1, use of vowel O and E. Now we will count to 12. Stop for 1 second. Not move our arms so much. See para 4, use of sound, vowel sound O. Victory with no survivors. Would put on clean clothes and walk with their brothers. Next device is anaphora. When two consecutive lines start with the same word. See paragraph 1. Let's not speak. Let's stop for 1 second. Next device is alliteration. The repetition of a consonant sound at the start of two or more closely placed words. See para 1, repetition of W sound. We will. Para 2, again repetition of W sound. We would. Para 3, repetition of consonant sound. H. His hurt hands. Para 4, W sound. Was with. And C is also repeated. Clean clothes. See para 5, W sound. We were not so single-minded. Next device is repetition. Use of war has been repeated. Next device is enjambment. It is continuation of sentence or a thought to next line and there is no punctuation mark in the end of the line. See the example in para 5. Perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. There is no punctuation mark at the end and the thought is carried on from the previous line to the next line. Children, if you have enjoyed this video, like and share and also subscribe it. You can also write your comments in the comments box below. Thank you.